lead us in our national song.
All right, so we finally started. The live went how long? 26 minutes late or so? 26 minutes late. So I was just waiting on CXC to start. I was starting to wonder if they was going to do the ceremony after all, but it's here. It's here, so y'all can tap in. This is every year we have been doing this for a while. We could call this by the live viewing of the official exam results ceremony. How are you feeling? You take this moment to take a nice tap in. Let's see if I can just. Let me just organize this up a little bit there. Inside. Standard attention for the national anthem, please. The live take a little bit to start, eh? So it's supposed to be released in hold on, 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. By 1 p.m. students will be able to access just post on Instagram.
My heart enshrines the end. Oh, that came a night I cannot forget.
Thank you, Reen, for that powerful rendition.
All right, chat. Are we cooked? And the results will be out in a few hours.
Feels bright with possibility. We're here to celebrate a lot of hard work,
What's the latest?
Effort, late nights, and those moments where those tough problems just finally click. We're here to recognize the journey that turns hard work into real opportunity. Not too long ago, maybe a little too long ago, I was in the same shoes of many of the.
Let's see what the comments say. The very first comment I got on this live was
waiting with bated breath
from Samir. Samir is saying that he's going to expire.
Of opportunity might swing open, and
we have Lame OK saying, "Ah boy."
And yes,
some nice fun expressions from Cyrus and Macy.
The students are feeling now, but I was made better for it.
Andre is saying his belly.
Today, let's all
China is preferring to go with the grace of God. China is going with God, ladies and gents.
And the ways that you will lead as you take this.
Justin is asking for mercy from a higher power.
A light to guide the path for others behind you. And may your next step
Jason is bored
and confidence. Before we proceed, it is my honor to invite a thoughtful voice.
Somebody's nervous. Bless up, Christopher. Where's the vibe?
Please join me in welcoming Pastor Andrew Ebert.
It should be out in Trinidad at 1 p.m. That's the latest. That's the last thing I heard. 1 p.m. in Trinidad. And most of the Caribbean, Jamaica would be what? 2 p.m.? Jamaica will be an hour behind. It'll be the same time everybody will get. No, Jamaica will be 12 p.m. then. Everybody will get at the same time, but Jamaica time is different than the rest of the Caribbean.
Let's bow our heads and pray. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity that we have to come here today to celebrate with these students. We thank you, Father, that across the Caribbean that today they are awaiting those results. And Lord, as they come in this moment to receive those results, we just pray that your spirit would rest upon each and every one across these islands that dot the Caribbean Sea. We pray, Father God, for your presence to be in their homes and their schools, to fill their families.
Bless up.
And Lord, that they would be filled with hope in this time, that they would be filled with joy even, that, Lord, as they eagerly
Up to
anticipate
here.
these results, that your presence would go before
Anybody
them,
have a vacant bedroom for the
that you would
cartel?
guide them into the future that you have for them, Lord, that you would grant them wisdom, that they would know what to do, that they would know the decisions to make. Your word says that if any of us lack wisdom, that we should ask you for it,
Yeah, so the time will
that
be
you would
12.
give it to us. And we pray that
Jamaica.
over each of these students here today, Father God, that they would know how you are guiding and leading their lives. Because, Lord, you have a purpose in store for every single one of them. So calm the anxiety, calm the nerves, calm whatever may be happening in their hearts and minds, the uncertainty about the future, because, Lord, you know what tomorrow holds. But you told us we need not worry about today or about tomorrow, because sufficient for today is its own trouble. And so, Lord, guide them, lead them, give them peace as we place them into your hands. We thank you for this ceremony that we celebrate here today, and we pray that all would go well. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
So let me give you a little heads up what happens usually in this ceremony. They will give statistics on the general idea of what is going on in different subjects. So you will see like how many students, percentage of students got ones and twos. They normally always keep something for maths, show you the statistics for maths, English, and the popular subjects, some of the sciences, POA, stuff like that. And they will show you this for CXC level and for CAPE level. And then like an hour or 2 hours after this is finished, they will release the results. So you all will be able to get it on the portal sometime this afternoon.
The largest government ministry with over 1,000 staff. Ms. Cacho holds a master's degree in business administration and higher education management from the University of Southampton, graduating with distinction. She has led major educational reforms, including the 2016 Education Law Revision, the implementation of free school meals, improved child protection, and teacher salary increases. Under her leadership, school performance improved significantly, with 3 earning good ratings from the Office of Education Standards. And she was instrumental in ensuring safe school operations, continuity in learning, and student welfare through the 2019 COVID pandemic. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Sotonia Cacho to deliver the welcoming remarks.
So I'm sending the audio right up in the video. They haven't seen anything that important right now.
I would like to welcome the Minister for Education, Training, and Finance and Economic Development, the Honorable Ralston Anglin. Elected Member of Parliament, Mr. Roy.
I wish we're not doing this live.
Registrar and CEO of the Caribbean Examinations Council, Dr. Wayne Wesley.
But they had a good
Director of Operations
real
of the Caribbean
from back in the days.
Council, Dr. Nicole Manning. From the Ministry of Education and Training, Adrian Jones. Our Chief Human Resources Manager, Mrs. Kamari Fletcher Barrett. Our Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Denise Hutchinson. Director for the Department of Education Services, Mr. Mark Ray. Deputy Directors for the Department of Education Services, Dr. Richard Wildman and Ms. Tammy Hopkins. Senior School Improvement Officer, Dr. Janice Headley. Acting Senior School Improvement Officer, Mr. John Clark. Chairman of the Education Council, Mr. Shamari Scott. Representatives from ICCI, UWI, His Majesty's Prison Service, other members of the Ministry of Education and Training, Department of Education Services staff, local registrar and manager of data and testing, Mr. Wingrove Hunt, public relations and marketing officer from CXC, Ms. Michelle Narang Singh, school leaders, educators, parents, students, media, other esteemed guests joining us in person and online at CXC TV and on CIG TV, a warm good morning to you all. On behalf of the Ministry of Education and Training, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Caribbean Examination Council's official release for the 2025 May to June examination results. This is a proud day for us in the Cayman Islands. I'm honored to share it with you. Over time, this ceremony has become one of CXC's highly anticipated events, hosted by a different member state each year. I'm delighted that today, for the very first time, we have the privilege of welcoming you to the beautiful Cayman Islands, renowned for our pristine beaches, our world-class dive sites, and exquisite cuisine. To our visitors, I hope you will find time to experience some of what makes our islands so beautiful. To those joining us online, I extend an open invitation for you to visit and experience our warm Cayman-kind hospitality. As part of today's program, we will hear an analysis of the May-June results and witness the symbolic handing over of these results to the Minister of Education and Training.
So since I start doing the lives, it hasn't been hosted in
I
Trinidad.
wish to congratulate CXC on another staging of this event
But I'm
and
sure it was
sincerely thank the
done
teams from our own Ministry of Education and Training, Department of Education Services, and the Department of Communications for working together to host today's occasion in partnership with CXC. To the students across the Caribbean, today is all about you. You have navigated a rapidly changing educational landscape, embraced new technologies, and faced the challenges of this era with resilience and determination. You have shown remarkable perseverance, focus, and dedication, pressing forward through long hours of coursework, rigorous school-based assessments, and personal challenges that may have tested your resolve. And now, you have arrived at this well.
So Shaki is saying to make the likes match the number of people. So you have
Today,
270
we
people.
not
Yeah,
only
drop some
celebrate
like
your
on the video
achievements,
there for the channel.
but also the dedication, guidance, and
All right, the livestock.
unwavering commitment of your teachers,
Okay.
parents. Remember, this is not the end. It is a stepping stone, a
Some
chance
live
to learn,
issues, but it's back.
to grow, and return even stronger. Once again, welcome to the Cayman Islands. May today's celebration inspire all of us to continue striving for excellence.
Oh, I like her. She was just to the point, quick. Sometimes when you have people like that speaking, it could be a next 20, 30 minutes.
Thank you, Ms. Cacho.
So what we'll get is this.
Next, we will have Dr. Wayne Wesley deliver the registrar's remarks.
Oh,
Dr. Wayne Wesley is a Caribbean educator
interesting.
and global thought leader with a distinguished track record in transformational leadership and executive management, spanning the gamut of human development initiatives in education, training, and in critical assessment and certification systems to drive the development and competitiveness of the regional workforce and economy. Dr. Wesley was appointed Registrar and Chief Executive Officer of the Caribbean Examinations Council, CXC, on the 1st of August, 2019, an assignment to which he has brought inspired leadership and sublime technical skills. Under his leadership, CXC is amplifying its duty of care and impact as the region's premier assessment and certification body. A 2003 Fulbright Scholar, Wayne Wesley holds a Doctor of Philosophy in Industrial Engineering from Florida State University, with a Master of Science degree in Manufacturing Systems from Southern Illinois University, and a Bachelor of Education in Industrial Technology with first-class honors from the University of Technology in Jamaica. He is also a Chartered Manager and Fellow of the Chartered Management Institute in the UK, a Fellow of the American Society for Quality, with postgraduate training and certification in financial service management, strategic direction and leadership, and executive education training from the Chartered Management Institute in the UK, Columbia University, Harvard University, and the Manchester Business School. Dr. Wesley currently serves on the CARICOM New School Model Committee and the Caribbean Community Administrative Tribunal, and on the Board of Trustees of the International Association for Educational Assessment. We are honored to have him share with us today on this occasion of this 2025 CXC Release of Results ceremony. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Wayne Wesley.
Good morning, and good morning to all those join. Now my phone is getting too smart. I said good morning, and my phone responded, "Good morning to you too." And I'm like, "Oh, what's going on?" You know, I guess AI is taking over everything, right? If you're being polite, I will in turn be polite as well, right? But good morning to you all. It is certainly a pleasure being here again in the island of the Cayman Islands. I am saying such, we can't miss the warmth. Huh? The temperature? You walk outside and you recognize that, yes, you're definitely in the Caribbean. But certainly it is a pleasure for us at the Caribbean Examinations Council to be here in the Cayman Islands for the very first time, releasing our annual results. And I know students are watching online now and say, just get on with it so I can get my results. And even those in the audience are also wanting to get to the results. But you'll get there in time. But we are pleased that this is the very first time we're able to do so in the Cayman Islands, and we just want to express our sincere gratitude and thanks to the government and people of the Cayman Islands who made this possible, Minister, and your ministry for us to be here. Certainly, I know that when I'm in the Cayman Islands, I don't want to go anywhere else. The civic pride that is displayed by this country, cleanliness everywhere. The city is just so pristine. P.S. Chief Officer, when you were talking about the pristine nature of the environment, I can attest to that. And those of you who have not yet come, I'm going to be a part of your tourism attraction. Please come to the island, the Cayman Islands. You will not be disappointed, right? There is great civic pride here. The city is just pristine. The environment is just wonderful to live in.
That's not too bad.
And I'm happy to be here and enjoying all of that. So let me start first by recognizing the Honorable Ralston Anglin, Minister of Education, Training, Finance, and Economic Development. And the minister is so humble. Yesterday, we had a conversation with him. And in my conversation, I said, some time ago, there were others, okay, I don't want to get myself in trouble, but the previous Minister of Education was also the Minister of Finance, and that was a great combination because I know the people of the Cayman Islands know that, well, education will get what it needs because the minister is also the Minister of Finance. But I didn't know that he was the Minister of Finance. And of course, he said, well, I can have a conversation with the Minister of Finance to find out what we can do for education. And then I didn't even catch when they were trying to say it to me, but I am the Minister of Finance. So that's a great combination, right? To have your Minister of Education being the Minister of Finance. So when I got in here this morning and I saw him, I said, Minister, couldn't you have made it a bit more explicit, right? That you are the Minister of Finance, so I could make more demands on behalf of you. Yes. But he was very humble in not revealing until I discover on my own. Our principal host, of course, facilitating us hosting this annual event. We are pleased, and on behalf of Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, the council members and staff of the Caribbean Examination Council, we want to express our sincere gratitude to you and your government for facilitating the hosting of this release of results. Distinguished members of the wider education and training sector, civil society,
But
members
though, this has
of
been
the
a kind
public and private sector, employers,
uneventful
and
year
in
for
particular
CXC,
the
not too
financial
much.
services industry,
This is probably
Caymanians,
the
residents.
least eventful year for the last, like, since 2018.
I can't believe I skipped on it. You see all
Since
these AI
2018.
things working on me. I skipped an
Usually there's a
entire set
scandal
of
or some
people,
kind
right?
of fiasco.
And gone to the general announcement. But may I acknowledge the presence of the Caymanian Employment and Immigration Minister, the Honorable Michael Miles, is present. Centonia Kocher, the Chief Officer, Minister of Education and Training, Deputy Chief Officer, Mr. Jerome McCoy, Permanent Secretary, and officials and staff of the Ministry of Education. Certainly our local registrar, Mr. Wingrove Hunt. Mr. Wingrove, are you breathing a sigh of relief now? Results already? Yes, very hardworking local registrar here in the Cayman Islands. We are grateful for the important work that you have carried out. I also want to say to members of the local and regional media present with us, certainly welcome to this our release ceremony, and we are looking forward to having a great day as students will receive their results today. Now, it is always a great day, as I said, to be in the beautiful Cayman Islands. On my last trip here in May 2024, we did get a very good tour of your education sector here. And again, Minister, I must compliment the people and government of the Cayman Islands for what they are doing with education. I'm particularly impressed with John Gray. I've been there, and others. I was told John Gray is just one. There are many others. And the one that I was most impressed with, yes, I'm happy for John Gray and what is happening here, but we also visit your special education center and the kind of effort that you have placed there to deal with persons with disability. And any education system that is going to be truly inclusive must cater to all. And I was very pleased to see the kind of work that is being done for persons with disability and how they are being incorporated within the space of education. So well done on that to the people of, yes, they deserve it. Given the great civic pride that I've seen here and the transformative effect that it has had on your environment, us at the Caribbean Examination Council know that such great transformative activity is also possible in education, where every single child will be able to achieve their full potential. At the Caribbean Examination Council, we have moved on the mantra, our duty of care, ensuring that we create an environment that will allow every child to become productive citizens of society and making positive contribution towards a country's economic development. In this era of pervasive learning and artificial intelligence, equity is the new knowledge. Equity is the new excellence. Never before has knowledge been as available as it is now. And in so many digital platforms that suits how our students and the current millennials learn. They absorb information in a different form. When I was growing up, we get it mainly in the static form. You go read a book, you go, write your notes. In these days, they have the audio, they have the visual, they have all of these virtual realities, artificial intelligence. So knowledge has become ubiquitous. Everybody have access to knowledge and content. I think our critical point of focus here is how do we use that knowledge to create impact, right? Because a lot of persons right now, and most of us in society, can always criticize a problem, and we can outline that problem quite well, and we are very eloquent and articulate in in expressing and saying what that problem is. But when it comes on to solution, there is a deficit there. And so what we want to do is that as we facilitate our students learning within the kind of environment that suits them best, that they are not only developing critical thinking skills, but they are also appreciating the need to be solution-oriented. So if you have critical thinking skills, then you must use that in conjunction with your problem-solving skills to effect change. And as I've been saying to the groups that I've been meeting with since I've been here on Monday, is that it is important that if you want to demonstrate wisdom, wisdom is simply having the understanding as to how to apply knowledge. And if you know how to apply knowledge, not just having knowledge, but knowing how to apply knowledge, you will be displaying wisdom. And in displaying wisdom, you are solving problems. And that is what we want to create for our students. Having access to the content that they need, but having the competencies to use that knowledge to solve problems in society. So we all will experience a better quality.
You just hear the same thing every year. It's just a speech for the sake of a speech.
It is important that as we move forward as a region, that we begin to create the environment that will foster learning for all.
Back in school,
at the Caribbean Examinations Council, we have reimagined our philosophy. And in reimagining our philosophy, we have taken into account that content is important, but competency should get greater importance in our education. In other words, we have to create a greater balance between the content one receives and the competencies that they have to use such content. And in doing that, we recognize that we have to now put the learner at the center of what we do. And in putting the learner at the center of what we do, it simply means we must understand the preference of the learner. We must understand the learning rate, the pace at which someone learns,
people like
as
to
well as the learning depth,
results
the amount of information one can absorb at any one time. So that's content. And if we are focused on the learner, then we are going to create an environment that is suited to their learning preferences. We are going to create an environment that is suited to the rate at which they learn. And we are going to create an environment that is suited to the amount of content that they can absorb at any one time. You know these millennials, they are watching TikTok 2 minutes. And if it is longer than that, they are gone. So we have to be conscious as to who it is that we are catering to. And in so doing, create an environment that is flexible and allowing for them to achieve their full potential. We should move away, I know, and there are persons that will say we have to provide guidance and structure for them. Yes, but we must do it in such a way that they still have a lot of flexibility to create their own learning profile. And in creating their own learning profile, it will become of interest to them so that they are not tuned out. Because some students in the classroom, they're tuned out. What you're presenting to me and what I'm interested in, we as adults and responsible leaders will have to now create the environment that will allow them to self-actualize and learn. Of course, make sure the guardrails are there because that's why we are adults and we are providing them. But we should not at any point try to instill on them what we went through when we were going in schools. It's a totally different environment. What we, however, should maintain is the standard by which these individuals are capable of learning and demonstrating the competencies. So we have reimagined our philosophy, and we have taken that philosophy, and we have now created what we call the Caribbean Targeted Education Certificate. And what that will do is bring a lot more flexibility in catering to the individuals within the school system, taking the current CSEC standard syllabus and breaking that down into modules related and relevant learning outcomes that students can take in steps and progression towards achieving their certification. And so students can now mix and match. Schools can now provide opportunities for students to select what aspect of a program that they would want to pursue, all at the same standard. We are not watering down the standards. The standards are the same. But what we are doing is recognizing preferences, recognizing learning pace, recognizing the amount of content one can absorb at any one time, and creating a system that will be flexible enough for every student, regardless of their preference, regardless of the pace at which they learn, regardless of the amount of content they can absorb at any one time, can still achieve their full potential. And that will augur well for our economy.
That have its problems, eh?
I pointed to the fact that Nicole will be coming to present the results to you.
CSEC kind of had something similar to that, where you did
that 5 subjects is what is used as a standard to determine those students who can matriculate.
Or what used to happen is that employers just used to ignore the basic proficiency.
5 subjects, including
hire people in general
and English.
So what will happen is employers may want to find out if you do the exam part by part,
who wrote
or
5 subjects or more.
So they may look down on somebody who did the exam piece by piece,
including maths and English.
Module 2,
I'm delighted to say this year that number has moved forward.
May prefer to hire the person who did it all at once and has a grade 1.
3% rather than the number of students who have now received 5 subjects, including
what does exams do? Exam
the benchmark that determines
you have to memorize all that you know for Form 5,
fully employed, or
all that you know from Form 1 to Form 5, and get
that is significant because every time a child leaves school,
obviously, if you split it up, if you test piece by piece, it becomes easier. Like if you get more tests and each week you memorize that, then you forget that, you memorize
so the fact that number has moved
I'm not too
by
sure.
3% is a good sign. That means we're moving in the right direction. And it also means that more persons are doing better than before. And we need to continue on that trend. In fact, I want to congratulate all the member states who have.
All right, is he muted? Is he muted? Because I just want to say that again. They tell me that they weren't hearing. So is he muted? Chat, is he muted? For a second, I'll unmute him back just now. Chat, he's muted. He's muted now. So what I'm saying is that, you do your exam one subject at a time. CXC wants to take, like, let's say maths, and split it into 3 modules so that you can do it piece by piece. So the idea is that it becomes easier for the student to get maths. That's the idea of improving the maths rates. But there's some problems with that. One is that there was something like that with CXC before, basic and general proficiency, and people ignore the basic proficiency. So employers might just ignore students who do it piece by piece. And the real reason, let me tell you, the real reason that CXC wants to do that is because it will make them have more exams. They will get to put out more exams. What does more exams mean? And that means if they operate with a $50 million budget, okay, double, triple. So that's the main reason. And the main reason for everything in the movement is money.
From it, because we believe in research to inform proper policy decision making. And this pilot will provide us with the requisite information for us to better that product as we roll it out across the region. So 3,000 students will be engaged in while 3,000 students will be participating in the pilot, the entire education system will be exposed to the new modularized mathematics and English syllabus in September. We have already started the training of teachers in that regard, and we are continuing to ensure that that development continues, because we recognize that every student must be given the opportunity to realize their full potential. No one should be left behind, and it is our responsibility to create that environment that will allow a child, regardless of where they are, regardless
Yeah, so there's still all these things that you need for the students, and the students won't be left behind and things. But at the end of the day, is really making sense money wise. Why they will go ahead with that. So the idea is you'll see it. They want to modularize. I think that's what he said. The exam. So instead of making it one exam, math will become like 3 exams. You can still do it all at once. I think they will have that option, but you can now split it up. And you would see that has its own problems. I'm already seeing some of the problems. But as nobody asks for that. People just ask to be able to see their grades, be able to see where they went wrong, that kind of thing. But that they will never show. Javish and them fellas from back in the days, moderators, I think from back in the days in the channel, them know the kind of horrors that went on in 2020, 2021.
Excited by CTEC, so when that pilot is concluded, we'd be interested to see those results. All right. Our next guest is Dr. Nicole Manning. Dr. Manning joined the staff of the Caribbean Examination Council, CXC, on the 1st of February 2020 as a Director of Operations Examination Services. Dr. Manning possesses a Doctor of Education in Organizational Leadership from the Nova Southeastern University in Florida, a Master of Science in Computer-Based Management Information Systems, and a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry and Management from the University of West Indies, Mona. She also holds a postgraduate diploma in education from the University of Technology and a postgraduate certificate in risk management from the Institute of Risk Management in the United Kingdom. Dr. Manning is an industry professional with over 20 years of regional and international managerial experience in diverse industries from test development and measurement to quality assurance and strategic management. Dr. Manning's extensive experience in the fields of education and assessment have equipped her with the necessary tools to strategically manage the development of examination services, which are delivered by the examinations development and production and examinations administration and security departments. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Nicole Manning to the stage.
Yes, so Dr. Nicole Manning is normally the person who shows these statistics. So I think we're there. Yeah, so she has a PhD. A lot of these people are academics, but it seems like there's a strong disconnect between the upper echelons of academia and the teachers and the students. So the ideas that they have just seem like a normal teacher who teaching all the time. It just seems very far-fetched.
So as my registrar and CEO mentioned earlier, we are aware that persons are literally saying 2 minutes because it's very important that all our parents and candidates get that opportunity to log in and to see their results. I know they're waiting patiently. So let me move along quite quickly to see if I can provide the necessary information that will also provide this context, supporting some of what Dr. Wesley would have mentioned. So,
and answer those questions.
It's indeed a pleasure, as Dr. Wesley would have mentioned, that yes, you're supporting us, the Caribbean, the Cayman Islands, and the hospitality has been amazing. It has been really, really been good. And we really are enjoying it. Thank you very much. Let me start by just noting and recognizing our Honorable Minister, Honorable Ralph.
Yeah, so what Vicky is saying is what I gathered from it.
Dr. Wesley
the optional
quite nicely.
You can still do the traditional one. And then those who want to do piece by piece. Like I know there are some people who would prefer to, if this option is given, they will go after it. But
Chief Officer,
the problem with that is that someone who did maths, we had a similar idea. We had a similar idea like this for basic and general proficiency. Some of the older persons remember it, but it fizzled out because people who did basic proficiency, it was like nothing. It wasn't accepted. It wasn't accepted. So somebody who has a disjointed grade 1 in maths compared to somebody who did it all at once, as an employer, I would look at the person who do it all at once and got their grade 1 compared to the person who did it piece by piece. So, as well as that, it means more examinations. CXC is already extremely bad at giving and monitoring exams. So, more room for problems.
Thank you. You see, when in assessment, you have to be complete. So I would not stop until I saw it. Great. So Mark Ray, or what we would call Chief Education Officer, I think you refer to him as your director, right? And as well as other members of the Ministry of Education. I would like to make special mention of Mr. Wingrove Hunt. Now, Mr. Wingrove Hunt is one of 21 local registrars that CXC utilizes across the region. The structure of CXC could never treat with the millions of scripts that we have to deal with. We have over 600,000 subject entries across 34 CSEC and the over 30 plus CAPE units 1 and 2. It's important then to understand that without our local registrars, we cannot do it. So Mr. Hunt, thank you from the Cayman Islands. And to our other local registrars,
and just get into the brass
region,
tacks and
we
proceed
say
to a whole
a very big thank you. You work very hard, and I'm telling you folks, they work very hard to ensure that the scripts are moved, the administration, everything is done in a timely manner.
Never to fall in.
With that said,
the sound of your voice.
I want to first provide an outline as to what I'm going to be discussing or presenting. The overview in terms of what happened in the May-June 2025 examinations, the regional results, and we'll give some insights in relation to the results for the Cayman Islands. I begin with the overview for the May-June 2025 examinations. And I must say, as we begin, that we do offer several qualifications. So CXC actually offer qualifications from the primary level all the way up to post-secondary. So, and we do facilitate assessment in several jurisdictions, even if they are not doing the Caribbean primary exit assessment that we offer. So with that, in that context, we have the Caribbean primary exit assessment, and we also have our competency lower secondary assessment called CSLC, referred to as CCSLC. And I'll start with that and move to CSEC and CAPE. It's very important to note that
this
while
CCSLC, this is not
and this year,
applicable
I'm not
to the
sure
entire Caribbean.
Realizing that this year is the true COVID group. They started school in 2020 and they did exams this year. And so a lot of the results we're seeing is very pleasing, because to know exactly where they are coming from and to realize where they are. And I must say that parents, regardless of what you see, I'm telling you, please to give them a hug, please to really recognize them, because to do this over 5 years could not have been easy. For the CCSLC, we saw a reduction in both the candidate and subject entries. And I wanted to share some gender distribution information here. Note carefully that the male-female ratio is not very different here, 48 to 52. That's not so bad. But notice that the males are at 52% at this point in time. When we moved to CSEC, where we saw an increase in the number of candidate entries we had, as well as subject entries. So now our candidates can enter, but you know, candidates enter for several subjects. So that's why you're seeing those two.
All right.
So we saw an increase in both areas. But look at what happens with the gender distribution. It switches. So you have more females, 58%, and males moving to 42%.
58%
In
females,
addition, for
42%
CAPE,
males.
while we saw a reduction similar to CCSLC in
Tell
terms
us,
of
are you
both
behind on
the
these exams?
candidate and subject entry, for the gender
Whoa,
distribution,
it's
we
even
see
more
an even
distributed
greater
towards-
disparity. Again, 62% for the females and 38% for the
CAPE.
males. And so it is important for us to look at that information and to do some deep dive on a national basis. Yes, we will have the conversation regionally,
62% of
but
the
it's
persons
always
doing
important
CAPE
to look at it.
are female.
Another area that I want to highlight is the concern on the absenteeism. CSEC is always concerned about this because it means if a candidate is absent, it means that they are not going to receive a grade for even one component. So if it is that they're absent for one component, they will not receive a grade. So it's really difficult when you do all that work and you are missing for whatever reason. I must hasten to say though, if it's illness or death by whatever means, whatever it is, not the death of the candidate, but a parent or someone who's close or whatever, it can be other issues. We do have a consideration we call our compassionate consideration, but with evidence as to why the candidate would have been missing from the exam, then we take that into consideration and we actually grade the candidate. So if you notice for the absenteeism here, this is our first concerned area where we are seeing, even though we had 98,160 candidates registered for, subject entries, we had 3,593 candidates absent across the various subject entries. Now, yes, this is a big improvement if you look at what happened in 2022 to 2025, but still not where we want it to be. Just to share that Electronic Engineering Technology Unit 1 recorded the highest absenteeism, but we had subjects as presented on screen that where we saw 0 absenteeism, and we're happy about that. For CSEC, likewise, the reduction of absenteeism continues, but 32,000 is still too many candidates absent from across the various subject areas. Likewise, we had the lowest absenteeism we saw would have been for agricultural science double awards with 1.45%, French 2.88%, economics 3.13%, additional maths 3.54%. Visual arts, like 2024, recording the highest level of absenteeism this year. And you see that range from 2.88 to 4.17%. While less than last year, which would have been about 17%, it still is something for concern. CCSLC follows the same trend, but it's now at a 737 all-time low over the last 4 years. And we saw where integrated science recorded the highest absenteeism, while the CCSLC digital literacy recorded 0 absenteeism. So this is something that we take a deep dive annually in terms of understanding why is it that candidates are absent. And the top 5 reasons remain the same. Personal emergency, they weren't adequately prepared, so they didn't turn up. A documented illness, as I said, we treat with those 2 middle ones, death in the family, but they preferred not to attend for whatever reason. Now, just imagine you have paid and you have decided not to attend. And so we always encourage, it's an opportunity to try. It's better to try than not to do anything at all. We move quickly into the general administration. And in the general administration, we provide an overview of the fact that the examination would have been held over a 7-week period, with CSEC taking up the first 6 weeks, CSEC and CAPE, happening concurrently in the first 6 weeks. But that 7th week is CAPE, and we have the CAPE and the CCSLC happening. We also listen to our local registrars. We work with them. So this year we would have had Easter competing there with the oral, so we gave an extension by 2 days, and it was important to understand the benefits of that to the candidates. I must also note that this year we had a revision in our regulations. And so that document would have been out and we would have shared with the candidates on the back of the timetable those changes, as well as in the rooms. We give posters, we do it on social media, on our website. Generally, we provide this kind of information. Why is this information so necessary, especially the component about the graduated penalties? So in the past, we had a penalty for having a cell phone, whether it's in your bag or on your person. But we have changed that. We have introduced what we call a graduated scale. So if it is, the candidate can have the phone on them, but they may not have been using the phone. There's no evidence of them using the phone. The penalty could never be the same. So we made those changes, and we have effected those changes this year. I want also to add that we continue to work with the institutions and the local registrars to advance online assessment. In this digital era, it is something that if nothing else we get right as a region, we have to get this right. Digital transformation is upon us. We are all talking about AI, and I have one statement on that a little later, but it's important to know that we need to move in this direction. It will augur well for those students, especially those with the exceptionalities. You mentioned, Dr. Wesley mentioned the Cayman Islands having a special institution to deal with those at different ends of the spectrum. And it's important that you understand that the platform that we have can facilitate speech to text, text to speech. It's important that as you get in that realm and give them that opportunity, that we move into online assessment. CXC offers all our multiple choice papers online, and particularly 5 subjects with various components fully online. 53.17% of the candidates who indicated that they wanted to be engaged using online assessment actually were engaged in online assessment, and for CSEC and for CAPE, 69.44%. Now, the candidates love this way of operating. I think it's more sometimes the administrators are a little hesitant when they finish in 15 minutes and so on. But I tell you, they have full power and they do just as well as the person utilizing the physical papers. For CAPE, we saw a reduction in the number of candidates actually engaged in this area. And for CSEC, we saw a slight increase, and we have 20 of our territories engaged in utilizing electronic assessment. We move quickly to the school-based assessment, and the school-based assessment is a very key component of what is required for the candidates to submit. And we look at what happened for CAPE, first of all, consistent with the fact that you had a reduction in the subject entries. We also saw a reduction in terms of the SBA candidate entries, noting that you had 2.14% of the students deciding not to submit SBA to teachers. In other words, CXC, the teachers selected on the platform or when they are submitting the SBAs, I did not receive an SBA from the candidate. What does that mean? The candidate is going to be ungraded. Again, not a situation that we are really happy about. So we do have another situation on the right you're seeing where sometimes we have the information, one component, whether it be the SBA or the scores, but we do not have the complete picture. And that represented 0.88% of the cohort. For CSEC, likewise, similar in keeping with the trend of the increase of the subject entries, we had 441,154 candidates submitting their SBAs as required, but 3.01% not submitting to the teachers at all. While it's less than previous years, it's still not where we want to go. And similarly, the submission of whether the SBA themselves or the scores. Now, this component, as I move straight into the what we refer to as the irregularities. The irregularities, as I mentioned earlier about the penalties, whether it be cell phone or otherwise, they vary. And it's important to note that this year we saw an all-time high of 80 irregularities. Not good. Not good. It therefore means that these candidates of the 80 may have different penalties. And I can tell you, majority of these candidates, in fact, it was about for over 40-50% of them would have their results canceled. So it means that they are found in the exam with a cell phone. For example, I'm just using an example. It means that that candidate result is canceled. We beg, we plead, we say, do not take it in the exam. You also have situations where candidates use the cell phones. They'll tell you that, oh, I can't find the answer. Didn't remember the answer, so I Googled it. And so those candidates are not only, the results for them are not only canceled, but it affects their other subjects. In fact, they're disqualified. Where you have the hardships, we had 449 hardships, less than previous years. And it is something that, that we would have treated with the candidates. These candidates, we provide that favorable response to their situation as they would.
Question,
a little deep dive on the irregularities. I mentioned.
We're speaking about irregularities. Have you ever seen anyone with an unauthorized device? Because they're saying it's about 39%. Have you seen anyone with an unauthorized device in the exam, or cheating, or unruly conduct, or cheating or collusion? Have you ever seen?
The unauthorized devices, widening the gap of what is not required for the exams. We saw other issues in terms of unruly conduct, misuse of material. Collusion was a big one this year. If you notice the jump from collusion for CSEC from 1 to 8, that means we are cheating, right? We're working together where candidates drop the paper on the ground and the
so only 8%
they must pick it up and so on and so forth. These are just examples of what unfortunately happens in the exams.
Yeah.
For the CAPE, likewise, we saw an increase in the use of unauthorized device, but CAPE was not as much, similar a movement in terms of the cheating, but it was not as much. And it may speak to the fact that they are a little bit more mature, or it may speak to the cohort because it's a smaller group. But here we are saying it did increase from 2024. And when we saw it going down, we were happy. But then we are seeing a spike again. So it is something we're encouraging the ministries of education to work with the our students, parents. Please, they should not even have the cell phone on them. You know, we beg and plead every year, but it is something that's important. I cannot end this component of my presentation without encouraging the ethical use and the whole notion of integrity as you engage in the process. We do have some questionable situations that we're investigating. Situations where you see candidates with the same mistakes on an exam. That tells you that something happened, correct? Okay. So these are things that we are still investigating. So when candidates do not see grades, please do not be surprised, because the notification is sent to our local registrars and they will be aware to let you know. Now we move straight into the May-June 2025 results. And I did speak about our 5 flagship programs. And I moved straight into the first component of CAPE. And so for CAPE, we are aware that we grade from grades 1 to 7, but acceptable grades are within grade 1 to 5 band. Okay, the grade 1 to 5 band. So we give an overall performance for our new generation subjects. And for the new generation subjects, Pretty much, we see very good performance year on year. This year, unfortunately for financial services, we saw, particularly Unit 1, we saw a dip as low as 52.08%, approximately 52%. But we saw a couple subjects, design and technology, green engineering, Units 1 and 2, having 100% pass rate. For mathematics, regionally, we saw some improvement there for the Cape, applied math, integrated math, pure math, Unit 1 and 2, right across the board. And this speaks well for what is happening at this level. For pure science, we saw also an increase.
Like the remote now working, but
an increase generally across the board for the biology, both units 1 and 2 on average. For chemistry,
this is acceptable grades, right? So
increase for unit 1, but a reduction for unit 2. For environmental science, similar to chemistry, where you had an increase on the unit 1, but a reduction on the unit 2. And for physics, we saw an increase both for unit 1 and 2 across the years. Okay, sorry about that. For the arts, this looked very good for us. Where particularly art and design units, both units 1 and 2, as well as some of the options for the performing arts. If you're noticing there, performing arts, generally unit 1 did very well, which means that 100% means that they all received acceptable grades. But then you're also seeing the options, cinematic, dance, drama, music, and only drama had a reduction. Other sciences, we are seeing a reduction. Well, I would say it's consistent for agricultural science unit 1, but an increase on the unit 2. Food and nutrition saw an increase both on the unit 1 and 2, and likewise for physical education unit 1, and a slight reduction on the unit 2. For the languages overall, communication studies, we saw a reduction. I'll give a further deep dive on that. French, likewise, French unit 1, that is, French unit 2 was stable. Literatures in English saw a reduction both for units 1 and 2. And for Spanish unit 1, we saw units 1 and 2, we saw an increase. We also want to note for the humanities that we are seeing some consistency with previous years, except for history. Unit 1, we saw an increase, and for the unit 2, we saw a reduction. Law, a reduction for the unit 1, but an increase for unit 2. Sociology saw a slight reduction on both units 1 and 2. For the business areas, overall, for accounting unit 1 and 2, and I'll give a deeper dive on this, we did see an increase over the previous year, not the best over the last 3 years, but an increase on the unit 1 and a reduction on the unit 2. For economics, we saw stability there for the unit 1 and some stability also on the unit 2. Entrepreneurship unit 1 and 2, we saw a slight increase on the unit 2, but some stability there on the 1. Logistics and supply chain, very important to the region. We'll speak a little bit more about that. We saw an increase on both. And for management of business, while a slight reduction on the 1, we saw an improvement on the 2. So it's important to note, consistent with the business, we also look at the engineering and technology. Okay, engineering and technology, where we saw BMed, that engineering program for units 1 and 2. You are seeing some movement there in terms of the trend over the last 3 years. But we must say that particularly for the mechanical area, we are seeing the greatest improvement. Well, not as well, mechanical, both units 1 and 2. For computer science, we saw an increase for the unit 1 and a reduction for the, a stability, sorry, for the unit 2. Electrical and electronic technology, we saw an improvement on the unit 1 and the options varied across. For IT, however, information technology, we saw an increase both for units 1 and 2. This year, in terms of sampling, I decided to give you some additional context. Now, I'm classifying what we're calling major movers. These are subjects where you have the largest population or a large increase. So we know, in particular, communication studies and Caribbean studies are usually high population subjects. We saw a reduction in both subjects this year in terms of the number of persons registering.
This might be the last year.
And this is now giving you a deep dive in terms of the actual overall performance across the grades. So you're seeing here a little less grade 1s in terms of for 2025, but overall the performance is consistent with previous years for Caribbean studies. For communication studies, we saw a reduction in the performance to 93%, but I would say pretty much consistent because 94 in previous years. But similar for the grade 1s, and so we are also.
Anyhow, 30 more minutes or so till exam results. How are you feeling? 30, how many minutes? 38 more minutes till exam results.
Big movers, our top 5 subjects, we would have had biology, management of business, chemistry, entrepreneurship, and physics. Those were the top 5 subjects in terms of the largest cohorts sitting CAPE. And so just to give you a little highlight here for biology, we saw some consistency with the performance for unit 1, a little reduction there on the grade 1. For unit 2, we saw an improvement, overall improvement.
It depends
over the last 3
whether
years. In
people
fact, this is the highest it has been over the last 3 years, as well as for the grade 1s. For management of business, we saw a reduction in the overall performance, both at the first 3 grade levels, as well as the overall performance. For unit 2, likewise, we saw some consistency, well, no, actually an improvement on the grade 1 and an improvement overall. So for chemistry, consistent with what we were seeing with the unit 1 for MOB, we saw a slight reduction on the grade 1s and some improvement there overall. In fact, consistent with 2023, that's chemistry unit 1. For chemistry unit 2, we saw a reduction both overall as well as what we have there for the unit, for the grade 1, sorry. Entrepreneurship saw a whopping 10% in the unit, in the grade 1s this year, and 97%, an improvement overall. Consistent with unit 1, we are seeing an improvement in the unit 2. So this is good for people who are obviously going to be looking at venturing out there. So that's a good thing for the Caribbean. So while you see some consistency there for the overall performance, note the improvement right across the first 3 grade levels. That's very good. For physics, unit 1, we saw an increase, 30%, the best it has been in the last 3 years, and consistency overall for unit 1. For unit 2, 36%, best it has been for the last 3 years, and very good performance overall of 98%. For the CAPE subjects, you do have subjects that we would like to highlight. where I would say that we have selected them to aligning them with the relevance they have with regional development. So in addition to the ones that were presented before, you have a few other subjects where we wanted to highlight what was happening in terms of the importance, and even came on here, finance, law, and a few others, tourism, and so on. So I'll go through some of them quickly. We saw an increase over last year for accounting unit 1, overall performance, 10% increase there. For accounting unit 2, we saw a reduction, both for the unit, both for the overall performance as well as the grade 1 performance. For animation and game design, a very important, subject for us as we move forward in this era of digital transformation. 16% and in overall increase and best for the last 3 years for the grade 1, as well as for the overall performance. You're seeing 99% receiving acceptable grades, and I think that's very good. Similarly, for the unit 2, you're seeing there the 22% consistent with 2023, but better than last year, and best overall performance over the last 3 years. Computer science, unit 1, we're seeing an increase to 95% of overall performance, but a dip in the slight dip, I would say it's consistent for the grade 1. For computer science, unit 2, we saw an improvement to 98% of the overall performance, but a reduction on the grade 1. For the digital media, unit 1, we saw an improvement to 98% and a dip in performance for the grade 1. Unit 2, digital media went up to 41%. Notice it's almost, it is double the 2023 figure, even though it's more than just 2% more than last year. 97%, a bit of consistency overall for unit 2. For economics, we saw consistency there for the unit 1, but a reduction on the grade 1, but an improvement for unit 2 as well, both the overall performance and the grade 1. Environmental science, unit 1, we saw an improvement in the overall performance, but a reduction in the unit 1. Likewise, consistent for the environmental science unit 2, we have some consistency there, both for the grade 1s as well as the overall performance. Financial services, we didn't see any grade 1s this year, consistent with last year. We saw a dip actually in the overall performance. Unit 2, however, had a whopping increase to 94% compared to last year, and best in performance over the last 3 years. Unit 2 had no grade 1s. For the food and nutrition, we have an improvement from 75% to 98% this year. And we saw some also improvement in the grade 1s, both for unit 1 and unit 2. Notice how high it has increased for the unit 2. Information technology, unit 1 and 2. Unit 1 and 2 did very well. Unit 1 here, you're seeing the 22% for the grade 1s, and unit 2, you're seeing 32%. Very, very good performance. And it's very important that you note that all of this happened within a COVID period for candidates who started in a COVID period. For the last couple of subjects, integrated math is consistent with the performance as well as law. In terms of the units 1 and 2 performance. I must say logistics and supply chain, unit 1, 86%, an improvement over previous year, as well as unit 2, 90%, the best you have seen over the last couple of years. Last but not least, physical education and sport, which saw a large increase also in the population registering for this. While where there was a reduction for the Unit 1, as well as Unit 2, we saw the population increasing here. So I will say that for tourism, this is our bread and butter, that we are seeing an increase, very good for the 21% on the Unit 1, but a reduction on the Unit 2. So that gives you a synopsis of the major movers and those that align with where the Caribbean is in relation to just some few selected subjects. For CSEC, let's move quickly into CSEC, math and science overall.
All right, CSEC results now. I don't like the format of the results. I don't like the format.
My apologies for that.
This tree
so math and science,
real close to each other.
You're seeing here an improvement in the additional mathematics. Also, you're seeing here a slight improvement in the general
mathematics.
Maths is
38.54%.
Earlier.
Slight improvement.
For the sciences, agricultural science, the single award, you're
38% of people pass math.
38.5, an improvement over previous year, and stability on the double award. The chemistry reduction.
Are you in the 38.5%?
I wouldn't say it's a concern more so, but I would say that it is something that the countries will have to do a deep dive in. Business and humanities, generally, if we compare over the last 3 years, we're seeing some movement. It's kind of fluctuating almost, but an improvement for Caribbean history, an improvement for geography, an improvement for principles of accounts, as well as principles of business, a reduction on all the other areas. Languages, literature, and home economics. We saw an improvement to 80% for English A. We'll do a deeper dive. English B reduced to 69%. Family resource management had a reduction, had a reduction. Food, nutrition, and health, similar to what we saw in Cape, also saw an improvement. French improved. Physical education and sport, stable. Portuguese is predominantly done by one territory, but we saw an improvement there. Likewise, Spanish and clothing and textile. Technology and the arts, generally, I will say that we are seeing some reduction in the EDPM as well as the industrial technology building, but improvements for the options, other options for industrial technology. In relation to the major movers for English A and math being a major mover, we always do a deep dive here. And you're seeing English being the highest over the last 3 years and very good grades for grade 1. For mathematics, consistency with 2023 on the grade 1, and an improvement in terms of the overall performance over last year. So as in terms of what Dr. Wesley had mentioned earlier, it's consistent, and we're seeing
8% get ones, 8% of people who do maths, 13% get twos, 18%.
Social studies, an improvement on the grade 1s, but we're not too happy on the social studies in terms of the reduction, because this is one of our largest subjects. In fact, it is our largest subject in terms of the cohort. Principles of business, 17% in terms of the overall regional performance, and 84% on the overall regional performance, but 17% on the grade 1s. For information technology, we are seeing a 5% increase in the overall performance. And of course, that could be well influenced from the grade 1, where we're seeing that 23%. Human and social biology, we saw an improvement also on the 16% of the grade 1s, but some stability there, I would say, on the overall performance. EDPM, another very large cohort takes the subject. This is actually the 5th largest. I'm not sure why this is not moving. But for EDPM, we had 81% in terms of the pass overall acceptable grade, and a great reduction on the grade 1s, not something that we're happy about. Physical education and sport, again, similar to the Cape, as I said before, this seems to be something that the Caribbean is going in that direction. We saw not only an increase in the cohort, but 52% of the candidates receiving grade 1, largest and best performance over the last 3 years. 98% received acceptable grades. For the subjects relevant to the region, agricultural selected subjects relevant to the regional development, agricultural science, single award, 91% overall performance. And if you notice that 18% improvement, unlike the double award where you are seeing a slight reduction on the grade 1s and a slight reduction in the overall performance. But I wouldn't complain about that. It's 98%, so that's good. Biology, 83% overall, all best for the last 3 years, and for the grade 1s likewise. For chemistry, also a very popular subject across the region, we're seeing a reduction in the grade 1s as well as the overall performance for chemistry. Economics, very important for the region because we do a lot of finance and investment. 69% consistent with previous years, and a reduction in the grade 1s. Food, nutrition, and health, consistent with the Cape. We are seeing an overall performance, but a dip in the grade 1s. For industrial technology building, a lot of construction going on in the region. We are seeing a little dip there on the grade 1s, and also consistently overall reduction. Music is something that we saw a good improvement in terms of the cohort, number of persons who would have registered for music. And we saw an improvement not only in the grade 1s, but look at that number moving from 74% to 86%. It's very important, especially for the tourism belt, as well as generally. This does provide some growth regionally. For physics, we saw a reduction overall, but we are seeing some stability there at the grade 1. Principles of accounts, we're seeing an increase in the grade 1s to 17% and an increase overall to 74%. I must add here that Spanish, this improvement is good because as a Caribbean region and for us to manage within our sphere, this is a good signal for us. 20% best over the last 3 years for the grade 1s, and overall performance to 64%. That's for Spanish. Sorry about that. Now to go to Cayman Islands to give some focus, and I'm going to be referencing some of what we presented earlier. So for the Cayman Islands, we look at the overall performance of Cape. For the Caribbean,
all right, so that's a look at the results for the general region there. Now they're going to go into the Cayman Islands.
Acceptable grades, best in the last 3 years.
So on my end, I'm wrapping it up here. I know you all are going to get results in like 20 minutes. Feel free to,
sorry about that.
If you need to do subjects at the student hub, the number is, can I just put it in the chat and put it on the screen? Maybe I can let it swing across there. What is the number?
There was an increase on the lower end of the acceptable grade band. So it's something that you would want to look at there.
This is the number.
However, for digital media,
plus 1-868-210-1306. You can WhatsApp that number.
Receiving acceptable grades overall. Very good.
And you can get in touch with the student hub, the number one place.
Well, when I saw this one, I
since 2020,
physical education.
very consistent.
Grades, because
let's mute this. So once again, if you all need online lessons, the number is tickering below the screen there. It's Student Hub. Most of you all will already know about it. I'm looking to wrap up this year because this is just information on Cayman Islands. And Alexa is saying, "Stop! I'm from Cayman. I'm from Cayman." So yeah, you can go and watch the original stream, but we just wanted the general idea here, and we'll post some of it on our Facebook and our Instagram. Those who want to know what's going on exactly in the Cayman Islands, you can head over to CXC's stream and you can watch it. So results is coming out soon. Love and blessings. Thanks for being a part. Press like, press subscribe. See you soon.